right, here we go with episode 18 of the North Dakota Softball All-Stars podcast. The dust has kind of settled. We have two new state champions in the state of North Dakota. One who'd never won it before because it was in Class A, and it was not West Fargo. Get to that in just a little bit. Now, if you mentally can rewind a little bit, before this podcast, episode 17, it was the state tournament preview, and we spent a lot of time talking about Class B with the promise we'd spend a little bit more time talking about Class A this time. So we will certainly cover the Class B state tournament. That's in the second portion of the podcast. First, we are going to look at the Class A state tournament in Mickelson, and what a wild and crazy and unpredictable state tournament it was. Starting on Thursday, the winners of the West, Bismarck High. Now, they weren't the one seed of the WDA, but they won the WDA tournament. They took on West Fargo Cheyenne, who was the 4 seed from the East, and ding, ding, upset number 1. West Fargo Cheyenne comes back to beat Bismarck by a score of 7-5 to move into the semifinals. Game number 2 dropped down to the lower half of the bracket. Bismarck Century, now the 2 seed from out west, taking on West Fargo, the 3 seed from the East. First time they didn't win the EDC tournament. Would also be the first time they didn't win the state tournament. 20-year drought ended as Bismarck Century doubled up West Fargo 8-4. And the Patriots, well, they took things down basically with one swing of the bat.
Here's the 1-0 from Nicholas Kraft. Swung on, hit high center field. Going back, and it's gone. It's a 3-run homer from Matty Zander, straightaway center field. And that gives the lead back to Bismarck Century. It's 7-4.
Audio there, courtesy of the ND Sports Channel and broadcaster Mike Mason. That was the big blow. It gave Century a 7-4 lead. They'd go on to win 8-4. And for the first time in 20 years of softball in this great state, West Fargo would not be the Class A state champion. Valley City, they were the 1 seed out of the EDC tournament. They beat Fargo North in the championship game of the EDC tournament. Took on Minot, who was the 4 seed out west. Minot 4, Valley City 3. So the first 3 games you could call upsets if you wanted to, even though technically Century over West Fargo based upon seed was not. And then we got into the nightcap. Fargo North playing at their home field. The 2 seed out of the East taking on Dickinson, who ended up the 3 seed out of the West, but had an incredible year. Just 2 losses during the regular season and through the WDA tournament. But it was Dickinson's day. 15-1, a 5-inning win over Fargo North. So that set up your Saturday pairings in the consolation bracket. Fargo North and Bismarck High had the early game. North hit 3 home runs. Bismarck hit 2. It was a slugfest, but Fargo North won 10-7. Valley City and West Fargo, the 1 p.m. game in the consolation bracket on Friday. Valley City 5, West Fargo 0. So the Packers 2-out, Valley City into the consolation final on Saturday. So now we jump into the winner's bracket, the consolation game. Dickinson high off their 15-1 win. Cheyenne high off their 7-5 win. Dickinson 3, West Fargo Cheyenne 2. And then a wild one. 2 WDA teams playing to battle WDA rival Dickinson in the championship game. Minot holds off a late surge from Bismarck Century and wins 8-6. If Century over West Fargo was the upset of the tournament, and some would argue it was, some would argue it wasn't, well, there is no doubt about this one. This was the play of the tournament.
Here's the pitch. That one's hit up high into deep center field, and that one is... Wow, what a catch by Landry Marigos. She jumps up and robs Matty Zander of a straightaway center field home run. Marigos was going back all the way to the fence, and at the last second, she just made a leap up there and robbed the home run. What a fantastic defensive play by Marigos out in center field.
Another fantastic call there from Mike Mason of the ND Sports Channel. And just to set the stage for that one, Minot they had a big lead going into the end of the game here, up 8-3. Maddie Grod hit her second 3-run homer of the game to make it 8-6. Here comes Maddie Zander looking to cut it to 8-7, and the catch of the tournament, a true home run rob in dead center at Mickelson Field. What a catch. Of course, Minot would go on to win that one 8-6 to get into the state championship game. So then Saturday looked like this, state championship Saturday. The two teams who played in the EDC championship game won by Valley City 9-0. It was Valley City Fargo North again for the consolation title, and it was all Valley City again. They won 10-0 in 5 innings. The third place game, what a showing by West Fargo Cheyenne. They topped Bismarck Century 8-5. So West Fargo Cheyenne takes home third place, Bismarck Century fourth. And then the state championship game, what a game that it was. The arm of Marissa Andresiak, the Minot representative in the 2018 Shields Softball All-Star Series. She managed things so well. Minot 4, Dickinson 2. One of those scenarios where Dickinson was 4-0 against Minot during the regular season. It was just time. The Minot Majets, they took home the bacon 4-2. The Class A state championship game.
Fouls away another pitch, and she stays alive. Let's see here. Ball, strike, 2 balls. That's 4. And 4 fouled away pitches. So this is pitch number 9 coming up between Andresiak and LaFawn. And LaFawn will ground that one over to the third baseman, Pretzer. Pretzer fires it over to Doctor for the 5-3 ground down. Just barely got there in time, though. LaFawn almost ran out that throw. It was a nice run by LaFawn, and it was a nice throw by Pretzer. 1 away here in the bottom of the 5th.
Again, Mike Mason on the call there, ND Sports Channel. Thank you so much for providing the audio, and thanks to Mike for covering the Class A state tournament in Fargo. So again, a quick breakdown of the A. Dickinson 15-1 over Fargo North. West Fargo Cheyenne 7-5 over Bismarck. Minot 4, Valley City 3. And Bismarck Century 8-4 over West Fargo. That's the quarterfinal round. Consolation semifinals, North 10, Bismarck 7, Valley City 5, West Fargo 0. So that puts North and Valley City in the consolation game. The Highlanders take that one 10-0. In the semifinals, Dickinson 3-2 over West Fargo Cheyenne. Minot 8-6 over Bismarck Century. Cheyenne wins the third place game 8-5 over Century. And Minot takes home the title 4-2 over Dickinson. So some postseason awards. The 2018 Class A Coach of the Year goes to Amanda Mickey from Dickinson, and I'll tell you this, Dickinson is going to sweep the awards. Senior Athlete of the Year, Jordy McNeely from Dickinson, and McNeely also named the Gatorade Player of the Year. Now that one goes out to the top player in the state of North Dakota in 2018, kind of regardless of class there, for the Gatorade Player of the Year. And then to take a look at the all-state team, which isn't announced necessarily right after the state tournament. It comes a couple days later. But Maddie Zander, Bismarck Century, Whitney Thomas of Legacy, Logan Gronberg of Bismarck. A trio from Dickinson on the all-state team. Kennedy Kuntz, Kennedy Kuntz, Amber Sickler, and Jordy McNeely. Got Carly Kotzik from Fargo Davies, Anna Erickson from Fargo North. A pair from Grand Forks Red River, Teresa Matson and Julia Solheim. We're talking about the 2018 Class A All-State team. Jamestown, Sydney Solis, Marissa Andresiak and JC Rostad of Minot, Lexi Andrasek and Becca Thompson of Valley City. From West Fargo, Ashlyn Deemert and Tori Nichols-Craft. And West Fargo Cheyenne, Shea Weber. That is the 2018 Class A All-State team. If I were to put together an all-state tournament team, man, that would have been tricky. As you just look through the teams, going right down the bracket, I guess, of what I'm looking at, Bismarck, boy, they had some players. But how about Felicity Blair? The way that kid hits the ball out of the park, which she did in the North Dakota Softball All-Star Games, the Shields Softball All-Star Series. West Fargo Cheyenne, Shea Weber, she was the EDC Player of the Year. What a fine player there. From Fargo North, Taya Opheim hit a handful of home runs in the tournament. Dickinson, Sickler, McNeely, they've got others, but those kids are incredible. Valley City, how about the postseason Becca Thompson had? This girl was on fire. I think she had 8 home runs in the playoffs and had just 2 in the regular season. She was a don't pitch to her type of kid. And Valley City, I mean, they had the train rolling. You could pick a lot of kids. Yeah, they stubbed their toe against Minot, but what a team and what a year they had. From Minot, Marissa Andresiak. I mean, a number of kids, but Marissa Andresiak might have been the player of the tournament with the way she navigated through a red-hot Valley City lineup. She held Bismarck Century at bay outside at 2 pitches, and then, of course, held Dickinson to just 2 runs in the state championship game. Bismarck Century, again, a number of great players. Maddie Kostelecki amongst those. And West Fargo, I mean, tip your cap to what they've done. Tori Nichols-Kraft, Courtney Bowl, both through in the state tournament. You got the Demert kids, a young West Fargo team with just 1 senior. Expect them to be back next year. So the Class A state softball tournament, it goes to Minot. Congratulations to the Majets. Coach Gerard, what a season for Minot. The first team not named West Fargo to win a state championship in Class A. Well done, Minot. All right, now it's time to take a look at the Class B state tournament held out in Jamestown, and the day started with dominant pitching. It was a pitcher's duel between Des Lacs, Burlington, Lewis, and Clark. The 1 seed out of the West and Northern Cass first state tournament trip, the 4 seed out of the East. DLBLC, they'd take home the win 2-0 behind some dominant pitching. Erica Hermanson was just fantastic. Struck out 16, 17 batters, something like that. Gave up just 1 hit. Pretty good performance, too, from Brooke Daggerness and Northern Cass, holding that DLBLC lineup to just 2 runs. Now, if you remember back to our state tournament preview, we had a couple of coaches on, one from Thompson and one from Heart River, fittingly, because they played each other in the first round of the state tournament. And what I thought might be the game of the tournament, and it was Heart River up 3-0 into the bottom of the 5th when the Thompson Tommies went straight bananas, scoring 13 runs and winning by 10-run rule 13-3. Central Cass won by the same score against Watford City. And then Bishop Ryan took down the 2-time defending state champions. This matchup had some intrigue, too. Bishop Ryan's first season in Class B. Kindred Richland won 2 state championships in a row, 3 out of the last 4. Bishop Ryan winners by a score of 5-4. Consolation semis, Northern Cass beat Heart River 5-3. Kindred Richland over Watford City 7-2. Semifinals. Things continued to be fun. Des Lacs, Burlington, Lewis, and Clark versus Thompson. And it was DLBLC. They pulled out a 5-4 victory with a walk-off sacrifice fly in 8 innings. Great game between those two. Central Cass doubled up Bishop Ryan 10-5, as we'd see here. Central Cass, certainly the team of destiny. Heart River, 6. Watford City, 3. So Heart River took 7th place on Saturday. The consolation game, a 5-inning affair. Kindred Richland, 13-3 over Northern Cass. Apparently that was the score of the state tournament. I think 3 games, 13-3. Bishop Ryan ran through Thompson 17-7 in the 3rd place game, setting up a state championship game between a team with all the pitching in the world and a team that could just flat hit the ball. And it was the hitting of the ball that prevailed. Central Cass 11, Des Lacs, Burlington, Lewis, and Clark 0 in 5 innings. Some postseason goodness. The coach of the year in Class B, Kendra Schillo of Heart River. We had her on the last podcast. Heart River just 1 loss, I think, heading into the tournament. Lost twice here, but a great season for Heart River. Senior Athlete of the Year, Teresa Clinert, and we saw why in the Shields Softball All-Star Series with Kindred Richland. Teresa Clinert, the Senior Athlete of the Year in Class B. The All-State team, will run through that real quick, too. From Hillsborough Central Valley, Laura Spurgeon. Kaylin Dulleslager from Thompson. Central Cass had a trio on the team. Madison Sweep, Hallie Holzer, and Lexi Buer. A really good trio there. Hannah Oost of Mayport CG area made the All-State team as well. A pair from Kindred Richland, of course, Teresa Clinert and Amanda Ressler. Brandy Neiman from Grafton, Lauren Koski from Wilton Wing, Erica Hermanson, dazzling pitcher from DLBLC, also Bryn Beno, a pitcher from Des Lacs as well. Abby Kessel, star pitcher for Heart River. I think she pitched every inning but 1 for the year for Heart River. McKinley Harmon from Bishop Ryan, Micah Haugeberg from Watford City, Stanley's Alyssa Rudin, and Phoebe Garman from Beulah. That's the 2018 Class B All-State team. If you want to see the results, I know we ran through them kind of fast. You want to see the outcomes of who made the All-State team and that sort of thing. It's all there for you at ndsballstars.com. Since we have some time, let's switch gears and let's talk about the North Dakota Softball All-Star Games. The Shields Softball All-Star Series from 2018 sure was fun. Now, we had an absolutely fantastic softball game Monday night, June 4th at Mickelson Park. It was 0-0 through 6 innings. Yeah, it was that kind of game. The West All-Stars scratched a run across in the top of the 7th inning to go up 1-0, but then there was the East. It was Laura Spurgeon, an RBI base hit to right field to tie the game at 1 in the bottom of the 7th, and this thing would go for a while. But the East All-Stars had a chance. Anna Goff of Fargo North hit a soft fly ball into right. Lexi Gullett from out in Bottineau made a great running, sliding catch, popped up and threw a strike to home for a double play, caught the runner trying to score on a sac fly, and we would play on. No score in the 8th, no score in the 9th. We went to international tiebreaker rules in the 10th, so each team starts their half of the inning with the last out on second base. Nobody could score in the 10th. No run in the top of the 11th. Set the stage for the bottom of the 11th, and it was Cassidy Kuntz of Grand Forks Central, an RBI, what would have been at least probably double. She hit the ball into the right center gap, scored Casey White. East All-Stars win it 2-1, but how about this line score? In 11 innings, a game that only took about an hour and 45 minutes because of great pitching and defense, the West scored 1 run on 6 hits, no errors. The East, 2 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. Now, that was a game. Teresa Klinert carried most of the load. So the way this works is each pitcher on a respective team can only pitch 7 innings in the 2-game series, but once they get into extra innings, all bets are off. They can pitch and pitch and pitch. So Teresa Klinert did just that. She threw 8 sparkling innings, allowed just 2 hits, and struck out 8. No runs allowed for Teresa Klinert. Ingrid Swanson was also in the circle. She threw 3 innings and gave up 1 run on 4 hits. Hitting-wise for the East, Shea Weber and Cassidy Kuntz both led the way with 2 hits each. For the West All-Stars, also a valiant effort. They threw 3 different pitchers. Amber Sickler tossed 5 innings and allowed 1 run on 3 hits. Micah Haugeberg, no runs allowed on 2 hits in 2 innings pitched. And Marissa Andresiak technically doesn't even get charged with a run allowed and gets the quote-unquote here loss. She allowed 3 hits in 3 innings pitched. That international tiebreaker run doesn't count against a pitcher's ERA because it was just placed there. You know, what can she do about it? That was the ultimate way that the West would fall to the East All-Stars. On the hitting side, a hit apiece for Riley Owen, Olivia Nyhill, Jordy McNeely, Maddie Kostelecki, Marissa Andresiak, and Elizabeth Lengang. That was a fun one because it was a nice, tidy, low-scoring game, lots of great pitching, lots of great defense. Things would be a little bit different as we head out west, and in fact, the West All-Stars on the bat of Felicity Blair from Bismarck, the Dickinson State commit. She had a day at the dish, especially in the early goings. She hit 2 home runs. Felicity Blair, 2 two-run homers, helped get the West All-Stars out to a 5-0 lead after 2 innings. It was still 5-0 into the top of the 5th. Checked out the top of the 4th. And it was kind of deja vu all over again. In Game 2 last year, the West All-Stars jumped out to an early lead, and then here came the East. I think the East scored 14 unanswered last year. It was 10 unanswered this year with 1 in the 4th, 5 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th. West would get 1 back in the bottom of the 7th, but it wouldn't be enough. 10 runs, 14 hits, 1 error for the East. 6 runs, 8 hits, 3 errors for the West. East pulls the sweep. They move to 4-0 all-time in the Shields Softball All-Star Series. Sydney Solis and Felicity Blair each had 2 hits in the game for the West. In the Hill, Haugeberg, Andresiak, and Sickler back at it again. 3 innings for Haugeberg, allowed 1 earned run. Andresiak, 2 innings, allowed 5 earned runs. And Sickler allowed 1 earned run in 2 innings pitched. For the East All-Stars, 3 hits for Casey White. She led the offensive attack. 2 hits each for Laura Spurgeon, Allison Martinson, a couple doubles there, Mackenzie Peterson, and Hallie Holzer. On the pitching side, Ingrid Swanson, she threw 2 innings and allowed 5 earned runs. Taylor Ellingson of Grand Forks Central picked up the win ultimately. No earned runs in 2 innings, allowed just 1 hit. Then Teresa Klinert came back in, did what she does. She shut the door, pitched the final 3 innings, and allowed just 1 earned run to get the save. So it was the Reagan Jastrom, right? Jastrom got a win in Game 1 and a save in Game 2, maybe vice versa. She got a win and a save last year, and then a win and a save this year for Teresa Klinert. A great all-star series, just wonderful representation. I just want to run through the rosters again quick and acknowledge these kids and where they came from. Just going right through, we'll start alphabetically with the East and go numerically, I guess. Hallie Holzer of Castleton played at Central Cass. Taylor Ellingson, Grand Forks Central. Anna Goff from Fargo North. Reagan Linster from Davies. From Valley City, both Casey White and Mackenzie Peterson. Laura Spurgeon out of Hillsborough Central Valley. Anna Erickson from Fargo North, a couple of Annas from North. Ingrid Swanson, she played at Shanley, actually from Park Christian over in Moorhead, but they're part of a co-op there. West Fargo Cheyenne's Shea Weber, Cassidy Kuntz of Grand Forks Central, Maddie Sweep, Central Cass, Kindred Richland's Teresa Klinert, and Allison Martinson of Grafton. The West All-Stars, Eden Kramer from Bishop Ryan. Great photo of her that's been going around, her trying to dive over the outfield fence to catch a home run in the state tournament. Just a great photo. Riley Owen of Des Lacs, Burlington, Lewis, and Clark. Lexi Gullett, West Hope, Newburgh, Bottineau. She's the local paper out there named her the female high school athlete of the year. And congratulations to Lexi Gullett. Marissa Andresiak of Minot. Dickinson's Jordy McNeely. Whitney Thomas from Bismarck Legacy. Olivia Nyhill from Jamestown. Amber Sickler from Dickinson, going through the West All-Stars here. Bismarck's Felicity Blair. Micah Haugeberg from Watford City. Mandan's Lizzie Lengang, she got to play at her home field in Game 2. A lot of fun there. Wilton Wings, Lauren Koski, the West Player of the Year, Senior Athlete of the Year in Class B. Sydney Solis from Jamestown. And Maddie Kostelecki from Bismarck Century. Shout out to the coaches from the West, Mel Erickson, Des Lacs, Burlington, Lewis, and Clark, and Kurt Grensteiner from Bismarck High. On the East side, Pat Johnson from West Fargo, and then the co-coaches from Kindred Richland, that'd be Sam Brandt and Corey Johnson. A fantastic All-Star Series. I mean, these kids represented themselves really, really well. One fun new thing that we did this year was a skills competition. And I want to go through the results of the skills competition with you because it was a lot of fun. So we had a home-to-home speed race, and the fastest time went to Riley Owen from out in Des Lacs, Burlington, Lewis, and Clark, an 11.16 seconds. She took home the crown. Eden Kramer, second, 12.07. Anna Erickson, third, 12.19. They all score points for their teams. Casey White, 12.43. Cassidy Kuntz, a 12.16. 12.61, check that, in a 12.43. Olivia Nyhill, 12.63. So some speedy kids there. Getting into the home run derby, so it was 5 points over the fence, 3 deep into the outfield, 1 into the grass. Whitney Thomas of Legacy, 17 points. She took the win. Felicity Blair, second, with 16. And Allison Martinson tied for second with 16. They all scored points for their respective sides. Maddie Sweep, 15. Maddie Kostelecki, 12. And Teresa Klinert, 12. Outfield throwing accuracy. This was a fun one. Marissa Andresiak, 17 points. There's a target, 5 if you get it in the air, 3 if you bounce it in, 1 if you hit the frame. Andresiak, 17 points. Anna Goff of Fargo North, 12 points. Hallie Holzer, Central Cass, 10 points. They all scored points for their teams. Shea Weber, 7. Taylor Ellingson, 5. Micah Haugeberg, 5. Lauren Koski, 4. And Sydney Solis, 4. We also had infield throwing. That has been hijacked from us, but I can tell you Amber Sickler of Dickinson was the winner of that one. So overall, 26 points for the West and 12 for the East, so they did win the skills competition. Congratulations to the West there. Just one more little note on the Shields All-Star Series, actually combined by the ND Sports Channel. The East All-Stars have now outscored the West 36-22 in 4 games. Teresa Klinert, a new record, 12 strikeouts in the series. Jamie Barta had struck out 7 last year. And I guess speaking of some of those records. There were a handful of new records set this year. We'll just run through them. Lowest ERA, Teresa Clinert, 0.64. She also had the lowest whip, 0.55. Lizzie Langang, the Mandan girl, she set the record for most assists in the series. She had 6. Scrolling through for other 2018s, Bismarck's Felicity Blair, the first to homer twice. Most pitching strikeouts, we already jumped on that one, 12 for Clinert. Most putouts, 13 defensively for Maddie Kostelecki. Continue to roll through. Teresa Clinert to save, ties Reagan Jastrom. A bunch of people have 1 win now. That would be Maddie Foss, Sammy Trana, Teresa Clinert, and Taylor Ellingson. So I guess Jastrom just pitched in both last year. She didn't get both a win and a save. Team records, East All-Stars only made 1 error in the 2 games. That's going to be tough to beat. They also only allowed 7 runs. The most hits and most runs, they were not touched this year, thanks to great pitching and great defense. So thank you to everybody who sponsored, who supported, who watched, whatever, the Shield Softball All-Star Series this year. It was really great stuff. One last piece of housekeeping. Now that we are into summer ball, this will just be a monthly podcast. So here's your June edition. We will be back in July, probably talking a lot about summer ball. We'll do the same in August, and then we'll start getting ready for the 2019 softball season. Thank you for listening to the North Dakota Softball All-Stars podcast. We'll talk to you next month.